Hi everybody, good morning. Today is Tuesday and hi, welcome to a new video. If you're new here, my name is Laura and I like to romanticize my life as I return to my hobbies that I had to drop due to a bad case of ADHD burnout. And I also like to talk about my grad school experience as I've been recently diagnosed with ADHD. If you didn't see my last video, I was having a really rough time mental health wise, and I feel a lot better. It hasn't completely gone away, but I do feel a lot better. I am more energized and I am working very well on my thesis because I have a big deadline coming up. I actually have two big deadlines coming up. On Thursday, the PhD applications are due, and on Friday, I need to turn in my draft that I've been working on my thesis so that by my next meeting, which is on Tuesday, by my next meeting with my thesis director, she had already read it and put in her notes and everything like that. So I am a little under a tight deadline, under a tight schedule, but she's medicated, she's going, she's trucking along, and things have just gotten better. I know technically I have been reading small books, but I am proud of myself that I've been able to read 2 books so far of this month, and that is not including the books that I have to read for my class, and that's pretty cool. For this week, we read Our Nig by Harriet E. Wilson, and this is the first time I've ever heard of this book. I have never heard of this book. I have never heard of this author, really, which is one of the main reasons why I decided to take this class. And I really liked it. I really liked it. I read it in literally one sitting. Of course, this is all critical context. It's not necessary. This is the actual book. So it is small enough to be able to read in one sitting, but the fact that I actually did was very nice and cool. That means I was really into it, and also that the ADHD medication was working. And I really liked this story. I thought it was very moving and it tugged at my strings in the right way. Like, it made me sad, but like in a good way, in a sense, because it was definitely a little more realistic than Our Heroic Slave. And I mean, like I mentioned in my last vlog, I DNF'd Uncle Tom's Cabin because I wasn't in the headspace to read such a big book. But yeah, I really liked it. Apparently this novel really helped adding into the conversation of Blacks born free into a society where slavery was still very prominent and very ongoing. I think I'll have better thoughts in my February epilogue video, but I just really wanted to say that I enjoyed this way more than I thought I was gonna enjoy this, basically. And then I don't have it with me, but again, I'll show it in my February epilogue. I actually read a modern version of Euripides' Medea, and it was so good. I kind of wish, like, it was an actual play, so I really wish there was a way for me to see it, but I think it's either British or Australian, I'm not sure. I think it's British. So I don't even know if it's being shown or anything like that, but at least reading that interpretation was really interesting and it was beautiful. A lot of Medea's monologues were definitely more modern and more in ingestible, and I really liked it. But again, I will talk about that a little more in my February epilogue wrap-up. But yeah, going back to my thesis updates, out of the 9 tasks that I have to do for this thesis draft, I managed to do 3. And considering that a couple days ago I couldn't even type a fucking sentence, the fact that I managed to take off 3 tasks is pretty cool. Mi amor. Okay. Just give me a second, okay? You want to smell them? There you go. So I did it again. Happy Saturday. I turned in everything that I needed to turn in, and I rewarded myself with more books. It is what it is at this time. So we got another unboxing. So I have been reading a lot of Clarice Lispector ever since I finished her novel Near to the Wild Heart. I fell in love with it, and I'm actually currently reading The Passion According to G.H., which came in the vlog or in the haul from earlier in this video. I know I'm not that far in, but I'm already just like so in love with it. I have like pages full of annotations because it's so good. So because I loved Near to the Wild Heart, I basically bought her entire work. So these 2 books is Hour of the Star
and A Breath of Life by Clarice Lispector. And I actually really like how small these novels are because, like I said, I'm trying to read smaller books in between my thicker school books. And basically it's the month of Clarice Lispector. So in this next package, this next one is Agua Viva. I'm just so obsessed with how tiny they are. So that's pretty cool for me because of my situation, right? And then this next book, I actually bought a second copy of a book that I already have because I'm a paperback girly and I was also obsessed with this specific cover. So kind of had to. But I also bought Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Malors. I have the hardcover version and I still haven't read it. So I think a part of me wants to try to sell that one since it's in like mint, like it's in good condition. But because I love that cover as well, I might still keep it, but actually read the paperback. Yeah, don't be like me. Paperbacks just feel better in my hands, you know? They're just easier to... The reading experience is just better for me. And yeah, I mean, I loved the cover. So I'm excited that they finally came out with the paperback version. I wish I would have waited, but I really thought I was going to read it at the time. But because it was really heavy to hold, I ended up not reading it, basically. And then for my last package... Oh, for this last package, I actually have the last of my Clarice Lispector books. And this comes from the same publisher as these books, but for some reason it's still a different cover situation. And this is an apprenticeship or the Book of Pleasures. Yeah, I'm excited. Oh, and this is a romance novel, so that's pretty cool. This next book, and I don't know why it's wrapped up in extra plastic, but this next novel is Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. And I wanted to get a pretty cover like I did for Emma, but this was the cheapest version, and I really like Oxford Classics versions. I don't know. I contradict myself all the time, but yes, this is Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. And my last book for this haul comes in plastic again, which is really annoying. Aura by Carlos Fuentes, and this is actually the bilingual version. So in one side it's in Spanish and on the other side it's in English. This is Spanish and this is English. And honestly, I bought this for my thesis because since it is a quick read, I wanted to see if I could add it real quick into my conversation before I officially turn it in, since this is supposedly an actual magical realist book, and I felt like I really needed to mention it so as to make my argument stronger of what is and isn't magical realism for Mexican authors. Especially because I did find a quote by some critics that say that Carlos Fuentes merely dipped his toes in magical realism and didn't necessarily write it. So since this is a more famous magical realistic book, I wanted to read it real quick to see if that was the case. I don't know. Am I adding extra work for myself? Probably. But I think it would really make my argument stronger because no one necessarily knows what magic realism is and they only associate it with Hispanic works. Anything that has like weird, uncanny things that is also written by Hispanic authors, Latino and Hispanic authors, is just automatically magical realism. I think when I'm done with The Passion of G.H., I'm going to shift to Aura. And also for my school reading, the first book of the narrative of Frederick Douglass. Buenos dias. So I have an early meeting with my thesis director today, and she sent over last night the notes to the latest draft that I wrote. Mind you, this is the draft that I wrote shortly after a really bad depression episode. Her notes were actually pretty good considering. And a lot of her comments, I'm like, you know what? I would not have missed if I was a little more stable. So there's that. I don't know why I thought that was funny, but I think it's pretty funny. Overall, like I said, I think the comments went well, so now I just have to see how the actual meeting goes. And then I have all the way until mid-March, I guess, to turn it in. Yes, so that means I would have, let's say a whole week. 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks. I would have 4 weeks to turn it into my thesis committee. And then another 1, 5, 6, and then another 6 weeks to turn it into, to officially turn it in. So that doesn't sound that bad. Because really, like, the things that I need to expand on, they're not even corrections. I just need to expand on certain ideas. Like, they're doable, especially since I have my notes and everything. It's just like, since I was writing this, like, low-key last minute, I couldn't, if that makes sense. Which she'll understand. It's fine. I don't foresee another breakdown in the future. In the near future. And that is why healthcare, well, yeah, healthcare, but I meant, and that is why self-care is very important, you know? I am going off to run some errands, even though I am very, very lazy. As I mentioned before, I think I've mentioned it before, my pharmacy is a little bit far from where I live because it's closer to my psychiatrist, which is also far from where I live. But it's, one, she's the best psychiatrist I've had, so I don't want to find a closer one just yet. She is worth the drive at the moment. I've talked about that in other videos. And the pharmacy that she sent me to it, and it's the only pharmacy that was stocked up with all the meds that I needed all at once. So again, I just don't want to switch just yet, but man, if I'm lazy. I was waiting for traffic to die down, and I'm pretty sure it's at a point where traffic is just traffic. So who am I kidding? Anyways, so I'm off to run these errands. I'm off. Good morning. Sorry for the weird angle. I can't find my taller tripod. But I wanted to check in real quick and say that I turned in my thesis format, which is one of 2 bigger milestones to finish your thesis. Basically, the school provides you with a template of how your thesis needs to be formatted, and you essentially copy and paste your thesis within that template. It's actually pretty cool because the table of contents updates by itself. I'm just really happy that they took care of that for us, because needing to format all of that would have been a bitch. So I had a very successful thesis meeting with my director, and I really don't have a lot to edit, I guess. Again, at this point, it really is just more expanding as opposed to like completely changing anything. And yeah, that's actually pretty exciting for me, in my opinion. But today, I think I'm just gonna take a small break to enjoy the fact that I turned in my thesis format and celebrating that it's almost the end, I guess. I just desperately need to clean my room, like always. Happy whatever day it is.